If you ever set a goal in your life, which I truly hope you have, chances are you set a goal that you didn't hit. Maybe you set a goal to lose some weight over New Year's as a New Year's resolution, right? That's a classic. Or you set a revenue target for your business that you want to hit, but you just didn't quite achieve that. Well, in today's video, I want to pull back the curtains a little bit and show you, first of all, our plan for Minix and my plan for Minix to scale that to 100K a month. And also just give you some tips on how you can make it easier on yourself to actually achieve what you're trying to achieve in life. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm just gonna run you through first off what I think about plans in general and what you should keep in mind, and then after that I'll be showing a Miro board where I have Minix, what I call a vision board, but it's basically just a plan of how the agency is gonna look like once we get to 100K per month, hopefully by the end of 2023. Also, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Rasmus. I'm the owner of Minix, and we're a performance marketing agency that helps e-commerce brands scale through paid advertising and user-generated videos on a performance basis. So that basically just means that we only get paid based on the amount of money that we made you. So before I get into my own plans about Minix and kind of pull back the curtains, I just want to preface something. The reason why we have a plan and the reason why we make plans is to have something to fall back on, right? To something to lean on. So when we're in doubt or we're unsure of what direction to take, we can look at the plan and say, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I gotta do. Perfect. And so an easy example to look at for why you need a plan is to look at something like weight loss. So let's say you have a goal of losing 15 kilos, or what's that, like 35 pounds. You don't get into a weight loss journey by just planning one step ahead and saying, okay, I'm just gonna drop my calories by 500 calories a day and then that's it. Because what you actually do when you start planning a weight loss, at least when you work with a coach and in a more like professional setting, is that you plan a couple steps ahead. So you say, okay, we drop calories by 500, and then once you hit a plateau, we either drop calories more or we increase exercise, right? So you want to make sure that you actually know what's going to happen when we come in a sticky situation and what's the next step from the first step. Basically, you plan like 2, 3, 4 steps ahead ideally. And the same really goes for business. Like if you're making 10K a month right now and you're trying to scale your business to 50 or 100K per month, your business is probably going to be looking vastly different than what it's looking like right now. So you need to ask yourself 2 questions. First question is, what areas are you going to be focusing on along the way? And then the second question is, how are you going to get there? And so I've been in that situation before, and you probably have as well, maybe not in business, but in other parts of your life. But you set yourself a super high goal, but you have no freaking clue how your business is going to look like when you actually get to that goal and how you need to transform the business along the way. So let's say you want to scale from 10K to 50K, right? Like how are you going to do that? Are you going to hire more sales rep, a videographer, someone to help with customer service? Like there's a bunch of different roles that you can hire to get to the same goal, but for you, it might be a different solution than for someone else. And you need to pick very carefully because money is not an unlimited resource for you. At least I'm assuming not. If it is, then you'll probably be sitting on a beach somewhere else, not watching this video. So we're trying to make money and we're trying to figure out what steps do we need to take, right? So your plan should be, I would say, like pretty in-depth depending on what sort of industry you're in. But I will also say, don't make it a 40-page full-blown business plan. Like there's just no need for it. Like the business plan I have for Minix and sort of the action plan, if you want to call that, like it's very simple. It's just a simple illustration in Miro, just kind of outlining like a flow chart, outlining, okay, this is what we're going to do by these dates, and hopefully we'll be at these certain revenue numbers, and this is how those revenue numbers break down. But also like growing and operating an agency is very, very simple. Like the business model behind an agency is not super difficult. Where it gets difficult with an agency compared to something else would maybe be that you can go very deep into, you basically just have fulfillment and you have sales. Like those are 2 things, right? But you can then just go very deep into those 2 sort of sectors. But yeah, for me, the business plan is like very simple, which I'll get to in just a minute. But I just want to touch on due dates quickly. So I think due dates are a great thing to have in your plan so you actually know when you need to achieve what, because you act with a sense of urgency. Because now you know, okay, by this date, I need to have this sorted. This is how the business is gonna look like. So you simply work faster on the big things. But also I would say, like, don't get caught up in those due dates, because due dates are basically just a self-imposed stress factor. Like if you made a plan from going, from 10K to 100K per month, right, in 12 months, but it ends up taking you like 24 months instead, like you're not gonna go to jail, right? Like no one's gonna die, nothing's really gonna happen besides the fact that you might be disappointed in yourself for not hitting your due dates, but still you got to that 100K per month. It just took double the time, right? So like it's good to have, but don't get caught up in them. One thing I will say though about due dates is, let's say you have a 6-month goal, right? Out of your 12-month plan to get to 100K per month, in 6 months, you want to be making 40K per month, right? And your plan is to, after 6 months, hire some role or some new employee to help you grow even further. My take is that even if you're just at, let's say 25K per month, I would say still go ahead and hire that person. And I know you'll have lower margins, right? And your net profit will be lower because you're missing that extra 15K, right? But still try and stick to the plan as long as you can afford it, obviously. Don't be a moron and lose money. Because the thing is, when you sit down and make your plan, right, the growth will probably look somewhat linear if you were to put it in a graph. That's just how we make plans. To think, okay, I can just grow by X dollars a month, I'll just grow by $3,000 every single month for 12 months and then that's all fine and dandy. But in reality, it's not like that. In reality, business is much more chaotic. You'll usually have like a couple months where just nothing is happening and you're just scratching your head thinking what is happening. And then suddenly out of nowhere, you'll just have 1, 2, 3 months where you're just growing like 2, 3, 4x and growth is just absolutely exponential. And then you'll kind of hit a plateau as well. It's the same thing that happened for us last year. Like we were growing like crazy in Q1 and then like we just stopped growing. Like we just hit a plateau. And then in November again, the business like grew 75%. So like that's just the nature of business. And that's why like try and stick to the inputs that you put on the plan, but don't get caught up in the outcome because the outcome you can't control and that will happen eventually if you just stick to it on a long enough time horizon. But if you just keep optimizing and adding all the systems that you planned out to do, at some point, like it's going to be inevitable at some point that you'll then hit your outcome, your revenue and profit target. So even though it might suck to not hit the profit margins that you actually hope for, just stick to the inputs you set for yourself and hire those people. And I know it's gonna suck. Like I've done this myself, right? Because those are the people that will drive the business forward. And someday, like it might just click. It might just all come together and click and you'll just grow 5x over the next 4 months and then you'll be at your target. Like that can happen. So just stick to the inputs and don't worry about the output. And that's also why I'm a big believer in making like pessimistic plans, if you want to call it that. And this is just like the last thing I'll touch on before I get into the mirror board and actually, show our plan. But having a big goal is fine. Like please do have very big goals for yourself and big targets that you want to hit, but don't assume that everything will be awesome. Like don't assume if you're running a subscription-based business, don't assume that you can make 100K per month with one employee and just assume that every single customer you have will be staying there forever, because they're not. Then you're just living in a fairy tale world, right? Just dial it back just a little bit because it makes it so much more fun for you to actually make plans with a big goal. That's fine, right? But the metrics, the underlying metrics are very achievable because then you can basically just see it as a to-do list with boxes that you can just tick off. So let's say that you're running an e-commerce brand, right? And you want to get to 100K per month. Instead of assuming that you can get there by only spending 10K a month on ads, assuming that you're going to be spending 30K. And if you have a 1.5% conversion rate right now and you want to get that to 3%, instead of 3%, maybe just say 2%. It's much more easy for you. You can still get to 100K, but it's an easier box to tick off, and still like that's a 33% growth in revenue. That's amazing if you can just get that to a 2% instead of a 3%. But with that being said though, let's get into it and let me show you the mirror board I've made for Minix and show you my plan for getting to 100K per month in 2023. Okay, so this is the plan I have for Minix. I actually sat down and made this in Q3, I think, in 2022. But basically this is just the blueprint we're going after. What you'll see here is I have a couple like color coordinations here. So yellow is month revenue, red is average client billing, which is a big thing for us and a big thing that I track. Then we have team structure. This is how do we actually work with the clients. We have our main offer, we have capacity, and then company focus. So main offer is just kind of, what are we offering to clients? Capacity is how many clients do we have on board in terms of our max capacity for taking on clients. And then company focus is just what do we need to like systemize and stuff like that. So what you'll see here is that like the plan is very simple. So it's split into timeframes, right? So this was current when I sat and made this. End of year 2022, so this is where we're at right now. We have end of Q2 2023. So this is what I'm actively working towards right now and sort of what the entire team is actively working towards right now. Then we have end of year 2023, which hopefully will be, fingers crossed, 100K per month, 20 clients maybe, but I'll get into that. So right now it's looking a little bit like a mess in the business. Not a mess, but like understand the revenue figures are more important for me than the actual client figures, as you'll see here. So 16 clients, like that might change. Maybe it'll only be 14. I hope I can, cap it at 16 max, absolute max, also at 100K per month. But this is just sort of how it's laid out right now, and it still gives me a good sense of direction. But as you'll see here, like what really changes is that we start working more integrated with clients, and we start offering more services. So here, end of year 2022 or end of start of 2023, right? 50K per month, average billing per client is 3,000 per month. Right now, we're not exactly at that 16 client mark, but we are actually over on most months on 3K per month. So that's great. Like we're making very good progress towards a 4K per month average client billing. One person per client, which basically just means that right now I have Francisco and Jack running ads for clients. And then I literally just hired Camilla, which is our new head of creative, which will be basically, she will be assisting all clients on the creative part, but mainly our focus is ads and now also like content, but we're trying to integrate that more into our service offering. Paid ads still like our bread and butter. And so maximize capacity was the goal. We're not quite there yet, but really a big important thing for us is just to make a framework, like make a written framework for our ads. So that's also why like I'm investing heavily into ads for the team right now. And so I think in the last 4 months, we spent maybe 16, 17 grand on like just courses for ads just to get better. But as you'll see here, as we go along, like end of Q2, so midway through the year, like we're not growing linearly. That's not the goal actually. The goal here end of Q2, is just to introduce pods. So what is a pod? Well, for us, a pod is basically just this right here, as you'll see. So a pod just consists of us being able to do every single service offering there's associated basically with scaling e-commerce brand, like client acquisition or customer acquisition, and then also retention. So that is, we have a media buyer, we have someone that's in charge of content, post-production. So these two here we already have in place. Then we have email SMS, which is something we want to offer halfway through the year. Want to hire a person for that. And then end of year, CRO / someone who can do like web development for clients, just to make sure that all clients converts the absolute most possible so that our ads can be as efficient as possible and we can really maximize revenue, right? So here halfway through the year, that's what we're going to start doing, introducing pods, because right now like the workflow is very simple. We just have Jack and Francisco working on their separate clients, and then we have Camilla assisting with content for each client. So here halfway through the year, it says ads plus 0 email. That might more be like ads and then content and email. 0 will probably come end of year 2023. But here the goal is just to like expand services. And then end of year 2023. So what we need to have done from basically these 6 months, that's between end of Q2 2023 to end of year 2023. The goal there is just mainly to work in pods and then systemize the entire workflow. That's like a big thing for us, or that's gonna be a big thing for us, and how we're basically gonna be able to grow from 65 to 100K is just to systemize and make sure that all the services that we deliver are as efficient as possible, so that we don't really have to rely on signing a lot of new clients, but the average client billing can go up from 3 to 5K. That's probably going to be way higher if we're not going to be aiming to have 20 clients. But yeah, like this is basically the plan for Minix and how the direction in which I want to go. And it's not super complicated, but for us, like this makes perfect sense. We just want to offer more services and then grow each client, because we do mostly revenue share deals for our clients. Obviously, like our whole incentive is just in making them more money so they will pay us more. So our goal really is not like to have 100 clients. That's also why like I'm not super stressed about we don't have 16 clients right now, because I basically have a whole year to get those clients. I'm much more concerned about our average client billing, because that tells me how much money are we making our clients on average. And that could be 10K a month that we bill our clients, which means that we make them 100K per month on average extra. And then we only need 10 clients, right? So for me, like the amount of clients is not the big thing. The big thing for us is just gonna be how can we make our systems and service delivering as efficient as possible, to the point where we can take any client from 0 to 100 in the shortest time possible on a pure revenue share agreement, because then I think we beat the game. I think that will be the absolute best agency out there in the world. And then once we have that, you know, I'm gonna become a little bit more selfish, and in 2024, hopefully that might be another video for another day, but basically we're gonna be starting our own e-commerce brands. Yeah, basically take the pie for ourselves. But with that being said though, guys, that ends today's video. That brings us to an end here. If you have any comments, any feedback, any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I would massively appreciate that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.